You're listening to the Culture Junkie podcast, where we go beyond the surface of pop culture.
I'm Keith.
And I'm Xandra. Together, we dive into the craft process and passion that drive today's creators. This is the Culture Junkie podcast. All right, welcome to the podcast. We have Geraldine Lahiffe today, a filmmaker living out in Vancouver. So we got a West Coast filmmaker, but we're talking about your film today that you created and shot.
Yeah, we shot it in the year 2000. Wrote it in 99, shot it in 2000. Finished it this year.
Doesn't seem like a long time ago, but at the same time, in the world of filmmaking and the world of technology, that is a long time ago. What's with the big gap? What happened there? Was it on purpose or did you return to the footage?
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite parts of this is just why did I wait so long and how it's got a certain something to it now that it wouldn't have had back then. It was just as simple as being self-funded, independent, and running out of money. I went through my savings to do it, and being a first project, I wasn't realistic with budget, which is fine. I did it. I did it was a great production. People put their all into it. And then I just waited till I was going to have not just the money, but the bandwidth, the emotional budget to finish it, which was a long time. It turns out, I went to physio school and I went traveling, lived in other countries and blah, 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 all the things. And then last year, I went to Bass Coast, which is a pretty well-known festival over here, bass music festival. And there was all these 90s remix songs. And I'm looking around like, does no one else getting PTSD from this? What are songs doing here? And are the 90s hot right now? Are they back? Wow, because the movie is shot in 2000, but it's about working in a nightclub in the 90s. Ooh, I better, think about resurrecting this, shopping it around. And I came into a little bit of money. So yeah, it was a coincidence of factors. And I found actually a friend who I had never really thought about approaching, who turns out is he's a director by trade, but just a mentor. He's really into mentoring new filmmakers. So he helped me to get it going. He did my rough assembly, found me a great editor, helped me to find, producer and a composer. So it just got traction. But why wait so long? Well, I'm kind of happy with the weirdness of doing modern things with old footage. We talked about that before, like legacy media, actual film. Yeah.
So you shot it on actual film back in the day?
Shot it on 16 mil and 8 millimeter as well.
Wow.
Yeah, with the same lighting.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, there's a certain difference between that and video. At the time, video wouldn't have looked as professional at all. But also, it means you're taking it seriously and you'll get people who are more serious about helping you to make a good project if it's on film back in the day. So
That's
Super
true.
16 was almost as legitimate as 35 mil. Yeah, and we got really good. Vancouver, like you said, I'm from Vancouver, Hollywood North. There's a lot of film industry people who are interested in a interesting, fun indie project on the side of their perhaps less interesting mainstream project. Yeah, we are
For
the
sure.
Hallmark capital, etc. Yeah.
So what inspired you to shoot this film and make it about 90s club culture in the first place?
Yeah. Well, I worked in a nightclub, but before that, I worked in customer service and food service like a lot of people, a lot of us, 20 somethings in the 90s, to put myself through university and pay my rent. And so many of those jobs were just, the customer is always right. And you had to put up with all kinds of crap. And at the time that I was doing that, the movie Clerks came out and I loved it. I loved that there was a scene in it. Kevin Smith went to school in Vancouver too. I loved there was a scene in it where they were talking about the customers when they were right there and saying, these people are idiots like this. These people are idiots like this. Everyone, so many people can relate to that. And then I had a background as a singer and actor. And again, I might have mentioned the projects here. There's some cool projects and, it's hard to get in. So I thought, well, I wouldn't mind telling my own story. I had always thought about the place as funny, but also almost like a nature documentary
Yeah.
of the mating habits of drunk weirdos. So it ended up being just like almost an ethnography because I was an anthropology student at the time. What are the behaviors of this group of people when you get them this much alcohol in these conditions? So it boiled down to the script was one night at the bar, everyone's in there, everyone wants something, the staff want things too, but we shot the staff, they're less surreal. They're not caricatures, but the customers are. And you just know
Mhm.
something's gonna go wrong. Something's gonna go wrong. And it does. It's a bit like was it Aristotle poetics. The circumstances lead you to a conclusion that's both surprising and inevitable. Just of course
Mhm.
this is gonna happen. Of course there's gonna be a fight and you know, and things get a little down for a while and they get funny.
You were talking about a trailer, so sent that over. We'll play that now.
Yep. I've been in the industry over 20 years now. I'd say on the whole, it's been good to me.
What do you mean he isn't there? He said he was gonna be there with you. Don't you tell me to calm down.
Like tonight, I'll walk out of here with 3 bills. Easy, easy, easy.
Can you pay me now?
I was wondering if...
Still, the people that come down here are fucking savages.
This is not McDonald's. These people do not deserve a break today.
No, you don't understand. I'm on the guest list.
You can't bring your own drink in here. Every freak in this place, there is a freak out.
So, are you gonna like buy me a drink now?
You forgot. You fucking forgot. Don't feed me no bullshit, motherfucker. Fuck it.
Let's go, bitch.
Where the hell stole my pants?
Players got to play.
Well, the trailer, we tried to lean into what we said about these are the types of people and these are their behaviors. So how do you trace back from the end of the movie and say what caused the end? What were the conditions? What did these people want? It's subtle, right? When you write a script and you make it fun and funny, but actually we're all leading to this conclusion. So I tried to put every character into the trailer, which is a fun thing to do in a minute 20.
I love a subtle underscoring, or maybe it's the main plot, but the main plot is more subtle than what everybody's saying over top of everything. But I love that there's a full line of inquiry and a line of storytelling that is beyond what we see on the surface.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. We tried to, especially it's written by a female. Most of my crew were female. And you might not notice, but the storytellers are all female. The people you see it
Mm.
through are female. So there's that. Yeah.
Was it hard to find all the people, technical people and stuff back in the 2000s? What do you think?
Hmm.
Is there a difference between now and then, would you find?
No, I don't think there's a difference. And I had so much help from my producer. We did
Good.
it together. I think casting was more challenging. And I think it's easier once you have a name. Yeah.
Yes. People come to you all of a sudden. You're turning people away instead of asking people to show up.
My experience has been there's so much talent in Vancouver and so many people who want to be on a film set and to be involved in a project, which is quite delightful. That the challenge is finding the right people and not just saying yes right away, but seeing is there a real connection there. Yeah. Do you resonate with what I'm trying to do? Do you have your own voice to add to it in the right way? Yeah.
Are you still in contact with everybody? And are they still involved in the project?
Yeah. Well, no, I have not kept a continuous 25 year line of communication. Except my DOP, she and I stayed in touch, Nina Jones, and my producer and production designer were friends anyways. So they've been excited to see the end results. It was a bit of an archaeology dig to find people, to find the cast and the crew, IMDb and LinkedIn and Instagram and et cetera. Yeah. But the ones I have found, the percentage that I have found are just so excited about it. There was part of me that, I didn't finish it because I couldn't. Are you going to be mad at me because it wasn't in your reel? I actually gave footage to a couple of people who asked for it for their reel. But, or some people are going to be like, why did you wait to run? No, everyone's
Yeah.
just happy for me and happy for the project and saying different versions of, good for you for coming back to it.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not normal to wait a quarter century, but there's something really cool about it's okay to wait if that's what happens. And things don't have to be over. You're just putting them to the side for a while.
For
Yeah.
sure, like, so many projects will get scuttled or completely scrapped. Like, I have seen so many projects get filmed, shot, and then never see the light of day, so the fact that it's coming back at all is amazing, and it's great to see something that has become almost vintage because maybe a lot of people watching right now might not remember that it wasn't easy to get a hold of people in 2000. It wasn't easy just to look up on Facebook because Facebook didn't exist. It wasn't easy to look on Instagram. Even IMDb wasn't really a thing. So now it's so easy to keep in contact with people, but it's amazing to reach back and find them and archaeology dig and get them back. So are you going to have a screening of it when you do put it together and get everybody back together, or what's your plan for the final product?
Yeah. We are having a screening next month in Vancouver. Yeah. The invite screening, and hopefully a lot of cast and crew are going to come out, and just a lot of friends of mine and theirs. A couple of DJs, a little bit of a 90s adjacent theme at the Fortune Sound Club. If you're from Vancouver, you know that place. It's a real supporter of independent film and hip hop and all the things. Well, that'll be fun. Bit of a celebration because it's old cast and crew. My post-production team are all going to be there, hopefully, looks like.
Mhm.
And a few people who actually worked at the bar with me are going to come
Nice.
too. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that'd be like Inception. You're at a party, celebrating a party based on a
Yeah.
film.
At a club.
That was a
At a
party.
club. And you're allowed to stay because it's from 7 to 10. They rent out the early part. And then the manager was like, we don't have an event, so they can stay for club night afterwards. And I said, you mean the same thing I'm writing a movie about? He said, yes.
That's
Top 40
amazing.
music.
That seems very
Yeah.
appropriate. Where did you guys end up filming it?
It's not around anymore. The Purple Onion. It was in Gastown. It was our second choice for location. It was quite big to light. It was big. It was challenging to light, but very authentic because it's the same vibe as the place I worked at. Kind of lower end, but still nice. It had the
Mhm.
staircase, which was the same, which we planned a lot of shots around, and a cool exterior. And now it's closed down because of too many fights, which is what happened to the bar I worked at too. So there was something very
Oh,
authentic
wow.
about the super nice
Yeah.
management. They let us have the party there for cheap as well. The Vancouver club scene is the clubs have switched around. There's a lot. They're always dying and being resurrected. So when you can find an old school club, there's something special about that. Fortune Sound Club is one of those. It looks old in there, but in a kind of fancy way. So I'm excited. I'm excited to screen it there.
What would you say to any of the younger people? And when I say younger, I mean like early 30s, like who were born in the 90s and maybe they want to feel what it was like to be an adult in the 90s and go out and feel that culture. Because, as you say, there's a big 90s resurgent and there's almost a romanticization of the culture in the 90s. What would you want to say to those club kids romanticizing it, watching your movie and getting something from it, not just from nostalgia, but from the first time experiencing it?
Yeah, great question. Because I went through that in my head. What made the '90s special? And then the trailer sets up all these before, before surveillance, before smartphones, before hashtags, before the customer was always right. Well, that one's not quite true. But yeah, what was life like before? People think it was more innocent and we were less connected, which was nice in some ways. There is a big subplot of the cranky main character trying to get a hold of her boyfriend on a crappy cell phone all nights. And then they get in a fight anyways, because all she has is a cell phone that doesn't even work for texting barely. But as far as romanticizing it, people are people, I'd say, as anthropologists, but also the you couldn't it's a bit of a spoiler, but that's okay. There's a beatdown scene. The bouncers were violent at the place I worked, and you couldn't do that anymore. Yeah. And the sexism and racism were more blatant in a way that more blatant, and you can't be blatant like that anymore. So I don't miss
Yeah.
any of those things. Yeah.
I think maybe it's been sanitized a little bit for the consumption of the younger people these days because, I'm talking to some of the 30-year-olds, late 20s, and they were like a little shocked at some of the things that went down back in the day.
Yeah, they
And
usually
also,
highlight consent issues too, right? Consent and like lack of,
yeah,
DEI in a good way. Yeah. Lack of
that is a good
consideration for
point.
people who different identities. Yeah.
Did you have a stills photographer behind there, the whole kit and caboodle?
Yeah, I had a couple of them. Yeah. A lot of, oh, you're going to want this later. You're going to want this for your EPK, even though I didn't know what an EPK was. We had some, yeah. And a lot of it became such old legacy footage that we couldn't use it, but the stills were good because he put them on slides.
So did you recently take the film footage and digitize it, or was it stored digitally or stored as film this whole time and then you were able to digitize it?
It was film, which costs a fortune. I didn't want to throw it away for the longest time. I
Mhm.
digitized the best takes. I know that's not what you're supposed to do. You're just supposed to digitize all of them and sync them.
Yeah.
That's the money I had because I was, you know, waiting to get into physio school at the time. I was a student. So I digitized that amount, I put them on DigiBeta and then eventually onto a big old hard drive. Maybe 10 years ago, said, well, there's just enough here that if I want to cut it together, there'll be something there. It's not everything. It was all of the 8 millimeter, cutaway stuff. And then the best takes, which is a no-no. I know that. And then I had the film stock just in case, in the parents' basement, literally the parents' crawl space until my mom moved out of her place 3 years ago. And something about, you just want to get rid of everything, but also I'm not going to take this back to somewhere to transfer it to digital. I'm just not going to do that. So whatever I have on those hard drives is going to have to be enough. And it was. I have my editor, Mike Jackson, did, he did such a good job. He's just such a master at the craft. And he nerded out on the 90s of it for sure. He did color correction, sound mixing. He matched the 8 mil and 16 mil footage really well, considering the lighting didn't match. And he
Yeah.
did say, oh, there's some great performances in there, but it would have been maybe a letter grade better had you had all the footage. This is what we have. And I think he's being a little hard on himself. I think it looks great. I see his point. You get all the best little moments if you transfer everything. So that was one
Yeah.
of the technology challenges. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you got the budget, then I mean perfect is the enemy of good. And you can only make and create what you can create and make. Otherwise you've got nothing. So I'm glad that you were able to pull it together and create it out of what you had available.
Well, let's backtrack. When we worked with film, as you know, you couldn't review the footage.
True.
I mean, you could do rushes that night without sound, but you didn't really know,
You
especially
don't get your
first director.
daily.
Yeah, yeah. Watch the rushes in those big wig chairs at the whatever it was called, the transfer place. Yeah,
Mhm.
but that's not the same thing. And so some of it degraded just being in storage, actually the digibeta. So some of the things were not usable for
Right.
that reason. Some of the things were not actually the best performance. So then we had to work around that. But every every film has that. Every editor is going to have to work around those challenges. And then, finding a composer who's willing to make 13 different tracks that are 80s or 90s adjacent and enjoy it.
And works with your vibe and with the story's feeling.
Yeah, because I had chopped this around a couple of times over the years, and this was the time that it stuck. There was just something about it. We're like, okay, this is the time to make a 90s movie. That's a real 90s movie. And somehow the people were interested and they had a good time diving back into the 90s. Yeah.
That's
And then
amazing.
another
So, I know we're coming close to the end of time here, so I wanted to make sure that you got to say everything you wanted to say about your project and got to shout out everybody you wanted to shout out, and also just let me know what your next steps are. Who do you wanna say thank you to, and where are we going next?
good question. Yeah. Well, I think going back to challenges, just to add to that, I think the things that were challenges, constraints, and made this project special, and I think that's true in so many cases. I think there's something about working with 16 mil film. Like my editor commented, that's AI cannot replicate that. It's too imperfect. There's something there for me and for maybe other people about, whatever's a constraint can be the exact thing that makes it interesting. And I've had to lean into being really honest about the project and what makes it relatable and my promotion, which is the next step now. What's the story of the project and why did I stop and why did I come back to it? Because that happens. You see this glossy sheen to filmmaking, but independent filmmaking is a little bit more heart and soul, a little bit more relational.
Yeah, you really need a good team to pull it off. It's not a solo project at all, and you need to work with people.
And you get really close as a result. It's just a much, more heart-centered thing has been my experience. And as far as what's the next step and where can people find out more? After this screening, we're going to a few film festivals, hopefully. It's a little harder to get in than it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, pretty good chance. And looking at distribution, streaming after that, the paid kind, and then eventually just available. Doing a Kickstarter to fundraise. That's going to be part of the screening. And I have some ideas for a next project. So I'm going to pitch deck that. But as someone who's more of a actor, director, theater director, I'm pretty interested in a bit of an open contributions to the idea for that movie. So stay tuned to that. I have an idea for the title, but I'm not sure yet. Might be awkward and weird relationship moments, vignettes about that. But I want people's stories is where I'm going with that. So we're going to have my Instagram as well as my YouTube channel. There's a related Instagram. I'll put the link up for that movie, for that project, awkward movie. Yeah. And if anyone has a story they want to share, we might make it into something. We might workshop it. We might make it into something. I'd love to hear people's stories.
Awesome. Any specific type of stories you're looking for? Just
Yeah,
weird ones?
awkward and weird sex and relationship moments.
Oh my God, I have so many. I might send you a few.
Yeah. It's the stuff that you don't always talk about, but it's hilarious.
Fully. That's cool. That's cool. And what's the plan for that project? Another short film or?
Yeah, a short, definitely a short, because even that takes, a lot of your life to do.
Oh my goodness, I know it. I totally understand. It's a absolute
Labor
birth.
of
It's a birth, and from conception to writing to shooting, every single moment creating a film is its own marathon. So the fact that you have come back to this film and built it to fruition in a time when it will be received in a very welcoming atmosphere and also between two different generations, I think. I feel like it'll speak to these two different generations where one, like mine, will be looking back at it and saying, wow, I remember those moments. I forgot how not connected we were. I forgot about this or that. whereas the newer generation will be just learning about it in a different aspect than perhaps they are being able to consume it in a different format, in a way that's looking back at it in a different way. Something that was shot back then and is being released now is a different type of media, I think.
Yeah, well, we'll see if we can keep the attention spans. My stepdaughter likes it, so that's a good sign.
Perfect. That's great. Well, I'm so thankful that you were able to come on the show today and share this film. We'll post all the notes about where you can find it, where you can find more, where the screening is, and everything. I hope everybody had a fun time today watching and got to learn something about film a little bit.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sandra. Appreciate it.